Another conversation that a lot of people have been on about has been the saga with the P Square brothers and the fallout with their manager Jude and all of those things happening. And we had a very interesting conversations with two industry insiders not too long ago who brought us a lot of education about what has happened, what could be happening, and how as a consumer group we can be better with organizing ourselves around topics like this. I think you'll enjoy it. So we're bringing it back for you again today.
It was secreted to all the accounts. The newspapers published it. Look at it. It's in Punch, Tribune, Vanguard. All of them published it. He was making a U-turn. Okay. I am a secretary to the accounts. But what is he doing with it here again on social media? Tell me, is this person normal? You tell me. Please, let's continue watching.
Next thing, everyone demanded they wanted the back end. I persuaded Jude to give it to me. He now said it's going to take 3.5 months. I started feeling somehow. If I tell you to give me your statement of account, few minutes, even with your app, you bring it. Tell me 3.5 months. So that's how long it will take. I still play ignorant. Waited for the 3.5 months. Walked up to him after 3.5 months. We kept on doing like this. I walked up to Paul. Paul, what is going on? Say, Peter, don't tell you, I don't know anything about this. This whole thing where you talk about.
And the Oscar goes to the chief manipulator. He said, I told him that it's going to take 3.5 months to send the catalog. Please watch. On the 16th of October 2022, Peter called me that he wanted Square Records catalog, back ends, and accounting, which I called Lex Record to make provision for. And he sent it to me later in the evening and said, hi bro, royalty statement, we can provide logs on request. I forwarded this to Peter, which shows exactly the amounts of money as an accounting from Q3 2012 all the way to Q2 2022 in question. So he now called me back to say, no, what they are asking for is not accounting, but the back ends that will show the streamings and whatever that they needed to see. And he told you people that it took 3.5 months after doing like this to send it to him. Abi, please watch. So as you can see, 6 days later, on the 22nd of October, I called Peter to tell him that I have received the back ends. He now said, I beg, send that P-Square report to booking at psquare.world.com, 22nd October 2022. So as you can see, the logs was sent to booking at psquareworld.com on the same date of 22nd October 2022. And if you come up here, you see it shows that it was downloaded on the same day, 22nd October 2022.
Well, at the start of the show, I did tell you about family feud-driven entertainment drama on Robin Minds today, and that was a bit of what we've been experiencing as a country through the week. You're welcome back to the show. And of course, the renewed public conversation around P-Square has once again brought questions about money, ownership, royalties, management, and the business structures behind successful music partnerships to the forefront, rather than focusing on personal disagreements, though, between the Okoye brothers, or attempting to determine who's right or who's wrong. What we'll do this afternoon is use the situation as a starting point to examine the broader business of music in the country. How is a successful song actually monetized? Who owns the music? Who owns the recording? How are royalties shared between artists, songwriters, producers, publishers, labels, and other rights holders? What happens when artists are also business partners, family members, or members of a group? For an industry that has grown into one of Nigeria's most significant creative exports, there is still considerable confusion among artists and the public about intellectual property, publishing, masters, royalties, contracts, and revenue sharing. And what we'll do is bring in qualified people, entertainment lawyers and music industry professionals together to break down the business of music in as simple terms as they possibly can. And the aim today is not to dissect P-Square's private affairs, but to use a situation that Nigerians are already discussing to help us all understand how the music business should work and what artists need to know before their music becomes successful. Joining us on Rubbing Minds this afternoon, we have Mojonyo Olua Dekunle, a legal and business strategist in studio. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Very good to have you here. Tokbe Salami joining us virtually. He's an entertainment lawyer, I believe. Good afternoon to you.
Hi, good afternoon. How's it going?
Very well, thank you. First of all, I just want to ask both of you, have you been able to catch your breath this week?
Absolutely. I mean, this happens more often than not. So
Really?
it's not that uncommon.
Okay.
Actually.
What about you, Tokbe?
Well, I would never lose my breath. I catch it.
I mean, fair enough. Listen, there's a lot to get into here, but you both have legal backgrounds, which is very important. What I want to know is, as we've seen in what was played earlier, a lot of documents were made public, things that we probably should never see, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you think, and I understand the EFCC has gotten involved in this case before, we understand there have been cases in court, are any of the things that have been shared publicly prejudicial to ongoing cases, do you think? Mojonyo?
It really, so far, not everything has been, they've been referring to documents, they've not necessarily published, so to speak. But so far, depending on the level where the investigations are, usually those investigations, if they are already in court documents are public documents. But if they are still in an investigation, these documents should not be peddled on social media as it is. They should not be litigating this on social media, actually, not yet.
Not in the court of public opinion.
Not yet.
Feel like. So, talk about in the P-Square situation, Peter made several claims about how money, royalties, and so on were handled. Without deciding who was right or wrong, really, what immediately stands out to you from a corporate governance perspective?
It's the need for structure. And aside from structure, it also goes to the need to understand, the essence of the business and the need for the business to be properly regulated, not by outsiders, but by experts, yeah? And when it comes to, corporate governance, particularly with regards to the creative industry, we are still, struggling. Of course, some of us have been advocating for higher and better, laws, regulations, guidelines, as the case may be, and definitely would always do that until we achieve the aim, and the aim is to have a sustainable, creative industry. But left to me, the P-Square, the P-Square saga, let me use the word saga, is just an indictment into the weakness of our corporate governance. Thank you.
Let's start from even the basics. So 3 people go into successful music business together. What should the legal and perhaps financial structure even look like from day one?
Primarily, to start a business, you should have, in this case where you have several parties,
yes,
and at this scale, you should have a limited liability company at the bare minimum. And what that to look like is that, what that does is everybody has, the entity sort of separates everybody's equity. You know who owns what and who has what. You understand what your roles are. And typically, once you register, that's just the first thing. Then you have documentation that speaks to what your relationship should be like. What are the expectations? How much am I bringing into this? How much are you bringing into this? What is expected of you? In the event that we want to split, what happens to what we have? How much? When do we start collecting money from this business? How do we resolve issues? Who has the rights to do what? So that's at the registration level, yes, and then the documentation level, yes. With regards to the creative business, it's a bit of a different peculiar situation, because there's the business entity and then there's the IP entity as well. Typically, people model that up together, and usually it's not very advisable. It's not the best practices. So usually there's the day-to-day running of, say, somebody that is booking the day-to-day running of the label or whichever business entity you decide to register. There's the booking of the shows, there's the day-to-day run, and then there is the IP entity entirely. There are 2 separate things that should be separated with documentation. So of course, that level of detail in registering, documentation, and dividing what needs to be divided and not lumping it all together is very, very important, at the bare minimum at least.
So we're using the P-Square situation as just as an example, as a backdrop for all of these conversations, because for the average Nigerian, all these terms can be confusing. We're not music business insiders like you are. And I want to say, so we've heard accusations from Peter or Mr. P accusing Jude of taking a certain percentage. And then the question is, well, wasn't that agreed in a contract? Why is it now any of our business? What is the right thing here?
So typically at the beginning, they should have had either a partnership agreement or a shareholder agreement that speaks to who gets what and what percentage it is. Yes, in the registration, we see that somebody has this percent of shares and all of that, but that does not, we still need to bring it to the granular level of detail as to what is expected and who owns what and who has the power to manage finances. And aside from even that, the accounting structures also need to be in place. One person cannot unilaterally have the power to spend money and decide, oh, you take this, you take that. Typically, everybody should have access to accounts. It's the directors and shareholders' right to have periodical access to financial accounting, as well in music business, of course, they should have access to streaming logs and details, everything. The primary thing here is transparency. And then with regards to accounting, there also ought to be an independent party who is able to manage your accounts. There should be audits, periodic audits from time to time. So it's not I'm doing this, I'm hiding it. No, it's open to all, because they are all shareholders and directors in an organization, and that transparency should be the most key thing.
It's a great point that you've made, because we've seen that there have been deviations in certain cases that have been made public. And I just want to follow up with you on this. Per what we've just heard, is it a crime then if these things are not revealed to all parties? What exactly are the legal implications of these sorts of things?
I mean, so far you guys are in business together, it's just natural that everything revealable is revealed. Yeah, that is the essence of business. That is the essence of partnership, and of course, that is the yardstick to measuring or to measurement. To measuring growth, as the case may be. So for me, if Mr. A is saying, "Oh, why is it that he's just finding out right now? Why is it that he's just getting this document right now?" Meaning that if he never spoke, he might or he would not have gotten it. Yeah, it is a grave indictment into the entire system, into the entire business, into the entire structure, and of course, it also comes to the question of the knowledge of all the parties in the contract, all the parties in the partnership. Trust me, you cannot give what you don't have. Once you know that, there is a possibility of that knowledge gap, all you need to do is just to seek for help by speaking to professionals. Whether professionals will come in as consultants or they'll come in on a day-to-day basis. But still, it's an indictment, not just in the structure alone, but of course in that principle of knowledge as well. Thank you.
And Tokwe makes a really good point about how it's an indictment on what currently exists. And when I asked you both if any of this was surprising to you, you both said, no, this is a regular Sunday for us, to be honest. And that's where I want to take this conversation to. Because it appears that the knowledge gap that exists when creatives go into the business of their creative endeavors is still quite wide. What are music industry insiders and music industry execs doing to close that gap and ensure that people, as best as can be, are fairly treated?
Well, to be honest, in the past decade, information has been a lot. There's been more symposiums that talk about these things. There's been more access to information. I mean, you have AI. All you need to do really is just to type in there, and and I also think that one of the challenges that we have is people do not think is necessary. A lot of creatives don't exactly see themselves as business entities just yet. They are still thinking about, I'm a creative, I do the music, but you're doing a business. there is the business of music that you also need to be abreast with. If you want to do this, you need to understand both the creative aspect of it and the business of it. And I think that's something that a lot of creatives need to also try to educate themselves. You can go online and do a course. You can get professionals, as Tope said. You could engage a lawyer. You could engage an accountant. You could even just take. There are a lot of these business courses you could quickly take that can just help you have context to the business of your craft. So there are two different things, and if you don't understand the business, you are probably here for pro bono. Just do free music and move on.
And that's interesting because, I will get back to the question of percentages in just a bit, but you've also raised a very important point here. But I do want to say this. We've seen the accusations that Mr. P said about his elder brother Jude,
Yes.
Taking a certain percentage, I think it was like 40% or something of that nature. You have mentioned about the importance of contracts and setting these things from scratch, but obviously certain steps might have been missed in this particular case. How then can we fix that particular kind of situation? Is it right to abrogate yourself a certain level of percentage and then settle it in-house because we're all family members?
Oh no. So yes, they didn't have contract in the beginning, and the next best time to have thought about putting that in writing was when it started to become an issue. If we agreed that the order of the day is for us to just share anyhow, and that's okay with everybody as of then, and the moment it starts to become an issue, you need to put it in writing. So at any point in time when you come to the knowledge that this is a problem, I think the next best time is to put it right here in writing and agree. Now, what happens is business does not belong to you. You are a stakeholder in that business. You cannot decide that, I would take this for myself. The CAMA, the Corporate Affairs, Corporate Affairs CAMA 2020 is the governing body for all companies, and it provides that all directors need to be transparent in how they govern the affairs of the company, right? So you can't just unilaterally make a decision. It has to be open to everybody. You have to disclose any interests you have, financial interests or business interests you have in any of the entities that with all the other stakeholders in your business in the entity. So no, you can't just do things by yourself unilaterally. And yes, the next best time to take out the agreement is now.
Yeah.
But now that you know, it's the best time.
I want to bring in Tokwe at this point. So when this happens now, where we have a situation where a certain percentage has been shared, I want to understand the difference here. As a manager, where is this percentage even coming from? Is it from music sales? Is it from event bookings? Is it from royalties? What do they have rights to or not?
Thank you very much. So everything is dependent on the agreement between parties. Yeah. There are certain agreements that they would all agree that management receives just monies made from shows. And there are some, the management or the manager would have to receive 360. Everything is also dependent on the type of contribution or the level of contribution of the supposed, manager or management. Yeah. So the percentages of management must always be subject to the type of agreement entered into. There are two words here that over time, with my own experience, I've realized that these two words usually cause problem, particularly in agreements, and particularly if the agreement is such that the parties in the agreement do not really understand how these things work. And these words are net and gross. Yeah. Everyone is saying, this person is receiving 40%. That 40% might be that. The 40% might be gross. The 40% might be net. When it is net, it means certain expenses, have been recouped.
Okay.
When it is gross, it means, from the main source. Yeah. So at the end of the day, I don't talk on certain things when, the clearer
The
or
facts
when
are not
the
clear.
Yeah, when the facts are not 100%,
All right, Tokwe, sorry to cut you in there, but But thank you very much for your thoughts today.
welcome.
Tokbe Salami is an entertainment lawyer. Mojoyin Oluwa Adekunle, she is a legal and business strategist. Thank you so much for your thoughts and helping us all understand a bit of what has been going on with the entertainment business and music business in this case, particularly with the P-Square drama as the backdrop here in Nigeria.